Hi guys, welcome back to ladensercrochets. If you're new to the channel, you're welcome. Kindly subscribe and join the family. In this tutorial, we're making a shirt dress, this one right here. I also made a belt to match it. If you'd like for me to do a tutorial for the belt, kindly comment down below and I'll be sure to create one for you. I'm using the usual yarn, Winter King. It's a medium weight yarn and it's acrylic. Then a 3.5mm crochet hook, a pair of scissors, a yarn needle, stitch markers, and a measuring tape. This is the pattern that I'm going with. That pattern. We're going to work 4 pieces and then we're going to join them together. And this is my back panel. Then I have the sleeves. So this is one of the sleeves. It folds like this. It's a short sleeve. Then we have a second sleeve, and then we have the front panel. Now I'm not done with the front panel and I'll be illustrating you how to work this. So both the front and the back panel, actually all the pieces are worked with the same concept, the same pattern, and I'll be illustrating using a smaller version on how to work this pattern. Then you'll be able to use your own measurement. We start with a slip knot. And your starting chain should be a multiple of 4 or a number that is divisible by 4. For example, in this version that I'm illustrating with, I'm going to chain 20. So 1, 2. So those are my 20 chains. Then I'm going to add 2 more chains. Then after that, hold the last chain that I've just done and chain 1 more. Insert my hook into that chain that I'm holding, yarn over and pull up a loop. To get 2 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through the 2 loops to complete a single crochet. Then insert your hook into the next chain and place a single crochet there, a single crochet into the 3rd chain, into the 4th, and into all the chains to the end of row 1. So notice that I started with a chain of 4, a chain of a multiple of 4, that is 20, then I added 2. So in total, I should have 22 stitches at the end of row 1. I'm in the last chain of row 1 and I have my 22 stitches. To begin row 2, we're going to chain 2. Chain 2 is acting as a first double crochet, then we turn. So in that very first stitch, we're not going to work a stitch because the chain 2 is the first stitch right there. Then we're going to yarn over, skip the first stitch, work into the second, pull up a loop to get 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2 to complete a double crochet. Then we're going to place 1 double crochet into every stitch to the end of row 2. I'm in the last stitch where I'll place my last double crochet and we're done with row 2. You should also still have the same number of stitches. To begin row 3, chain 2 and turn. That's the first stitch, the first double crochet in the first stitch. So we're going to skip this and work into the second stitch with a double crochet. Then chain 2, yarn over, skip 2 stitches, work into the 3rd, 1 double crochet, then a second double crochet into the next stitch, chain 2, yarn over, skip 2 stitches, work into the third one, work a double crochet, then another double crochet next, chain 2, yarn over, skip 2 stitches, double crochet next, and another double crochet. Repeat the pattern to the end of row 3. So at the end you skip in 2, then you have the double crochet, then the last stitch is on top of the chain 2 right here, and that's what you should have at the end of row 3. Chain 2 and turn to begin row 4. Begin in the next stitch, the second stitch right here, place a double crochet, then in the chain 2 gap we're going to place 2 double crochets, then on top of the double crochets 1 double crochet into each of them, two double crochets into the chain 2 gap, 1 double crochet into each of the double crochets, then 2 double crochets into this gap, and repeat to the end. The last stitch is on top of the chain 2, so do not forget to place it right here. We are done with row 4. We chain 2 and turn to begin row 5, and we're going to work row 5 the same way we've worked row 3. So into the second stitch place a double crochet, chain 2, yarn over, skip 2, work into the third, double crochet, and double crochet into the next stitch, chain 2, yarn over, skip 1 and 2, then double crochet 1 and 2, then repeat to the end. Chain 2 and turn to begin row 6. Row 6 will be the same as row 4, a row of solid double crochets. So the first double crochet is on the second stitch, then 2 into the chain 2 gap, one on top of the first double crochet, one on top of the second double crochet, 2 into the chain 2 gap, then on top of the double crochets in the chain 2 gaps, then we repeat to the end. So I'm going to chain 2 and turn to begin row 6, and row 6 is going to be the same as row 4. So we are repeating row 3 and 4 until you get the full length of the dress that we are working. So keep repeating these rows, and I'll meet you once you're done, and then I'll show you how to go into the next step. This is how you're going to take your measurements. The first measurement that you're going to take, you're going to consider your bust and hip measurements. Then consider the one that is largest. So if it's the hip measurement, go with it. If it's the bust measurement, you're going to go with the bust measurement. I'm working a hip measurement of 44. So I'm going to take the 44 and divide it by 2 so that I get 22. So each of the two panels, that is the back and the front panel, should be 22 inches in width, which is this measurement right here, from this point to the other end, like that. And to get me to the 22 inches, I did a total of 80 chains. I did a total of 80 chains plus 2. That should be 82 chains. So my starting chain right here was 82. Now determine the chain that will give you the measurement that you're working. So it means that if you're working a hip measurement that is less than 44, you're going to chain less than 82. If you're making a hip measurement that is more than 44, you're going to chain more than 82. But it also depends with the tension on your stitches. So my width is 22. Then you're going to repeat the rows that I've just shown you until you get to your full length. Full length, you also measure it without stretching, and this is how you measure your full length. Starting from the top, I'm going to place the measuring tape there, then I'll go all the way down. And that gets me to 35 inches. So the full length of a dress is 35 inches. To get to a full length of 35, I did a total of 66 rows. So these are 66 rows that get me to the 35 inches in length. Now, this is my back panel, and so I'm going to need to work the front panel the same way, which I've already started. So this is my front panel, and I'm going to work the front panel until I have until I have 14 rows remaining. So I'm going to take the total that I've done, which is 66 minus 14, which will give me 52. So I'm going to work a total of 52 rows with the front panel. Whatever size you're working, make sure that on top in the front panel you're going to leave a total of the 14 rows, regardless of the size that you're working. So let me work my front panel all the way to 52 rows, and then I'll come back and show you how to connect the two pieces. Well, I'll show you how to complete the front panel. This right here is after the 52 rows in the front panel, and as you can see, I've placed my stitch markers in the middle stitches. Now my stitches were 82 divided by 2, that should be 41. So this is 41, the 41st stitch from this side, and this is the 41st stitch from the other side. So now you need to divide your stitches into 2 and then mark the middle stitches like this. So from here we're going to separate the front panel. We're going to work one piece on this side and another piece on this other side. So from row 52, I'm going to chain 2 and turn to begin row 53. Ensure that the last row that you're going to work is a solid row of double crochets. This is actually going to be row 53, not row 52, I think. So then we begin with the double crochet in the second stitch. Chain 2, skip these 2 stitches, work the double crochets, 2 of them, chain 2, skip 2 double crochets next, 1 in every stitch, chain 2, repeat till you get to 2 stitches before the stitch markers. So now I'm 2 stitches before the stitch marker, and that's where row 54 ends, or whatever row you're working right now, that's where the row ends. And now we begin the next row by chaining 2 and turning. Then we're going to work the solid row of double crochets, 1 double crochet into every stitch, 2 into the chain stitch, and repeat to the end. Then from here you're going to do the 14 rows. Like I mentioned, the 14 rows is standard for everyone, regardless of the number of rows that you did in the back panel. So I'm in row 2. I'm going to work my 14 rows that end at this point, and then I'll be back once I have those rows ready, and then we can do the other side. I mentioned earlier that I was going to work the 14 rows, but it should be, we first work 10 rows, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then when we are working the 11th row, we're not going to get to the end, we're going to leave. So we're going to work until we have 8 stitches remaining on this end, and then that's where row 11 ends, and then we're going to chain 2 and turn, then work the remaining 3 rows ending at this point. Once we're done with the 14 rows, just going to chain 1 at the end and cut off the yarn, and we're done with that one side of the front panel, and this is how it looks like. So we have the 52 rows from the bottom to this point, 53 actually, then we have 10 up to this point, and then 4 on top, and we're going to do this exact thing on the other side. Now we're going to leave the 2 stitches just like we did on the other side. So we're going to count 2 stitches, 1 and 2, skip those 2, and then start from the 3rd stitch from the stitch marker. So in total, at the front part, we are leaving 6 stitches in the middle part. So right here, I'll start with a slip knot and connect the yarn. Then I'll chain 2 at that point and work. That's the first double crochet, so I'll work a double crochet into the next stitch, then chain 2, yarn over and skip 2 stitches, then 1 double crochet into the next, and 1 double crochet into the one that follows. Then repeat this pattern to the end, and then work a total of 10 rows. I'll be back once I'm done with the 10 rows so that I can show you how to work something like this on this other side. I'm done with 10 rows on this side, and we need to work the other 4 rows, and to do that, we're first going to chain 1 at the end of the 10th row and cut off the yarn, then pull through and fasten, and we're going to count 8 stitches just like the ones that we have on the other side. Then we're going to connect the yarn on the 9th stitch. and this right here is the 9th stitch, so we need to make a slip knot. Go into that 9th stitch and reconnect the yarn there. Chain 2, that's our first double crochet, then work a double crochet into the next stitch, chain 2, yarn over and skip 2 stitches, work the 2 double crochets, 1 into each of the next 2 stitches, chain 2, then skip 2, work 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, then continue to the end and work till you have the 4 rows. So now we are done with the front panel, and now what we're going to do next is fill up this gap that we've left open right here. We don't need these stitch markers anymore, so I'll just pull them out, and then I'm going to connect the yarn from this side in the first row after the separation of the front panel. So start with a slip knot, leave a long tail for connecting right here, slip knot. This is the end that I've left. Then into this first row I'll insert my hook and slip stitch to reconnect the yarn. Then chain 1, go into that row and place 2 single crochets, so that's 1 and 2. Then we're going to work into the next row, 2 single crochets, 1, 2. Then the third row we're going to work 2 single crochets, so basically 2 single crochets in every row till you get to the 10th row. So this is the final row. We're going to place 2 single crochets there. Now the last single crochet, place it into this stitch like that. Then chain 1 and turn and work 1 single crochet into each of the stitches till you get to the bottom part. This is row 2. Chain 1 and turn and work another row of single crochets. So this is row 3 and I'm going to work a total of 7 rows. This is after 7 rows, so at the end I'm going to chain 1 and cut off the yarn, pull through and fasten. So now we have that side is done, so we're just going to turn our work to the other side. We want to start from the top. We're going to connect the yarn on the stitch at the top. Chain 1 at that point, go back into that stitch, into the row with 2 single crochets, so 1 and 2, into the next row, 2 single crochets, 2 single crochets into the next row, then place 2 single crochets into all the rows till you get to the first row. Now chain 1 and turn to begin row 2. Then I'm going to work a total of 7 rows, just like I've done with the other side. I'll be back after the 7 rows. My 7th row ends at the bottom part, and therefore right there I'm going to chain 1 and leave a longer end, then pull through and fasten. And now this is what we have right here. So we want to attach the extensions that we've done onto the stitches such that the two are going to overlap like that. So I'll start with this one. Get the darning needle, this one right here, and I'm going to work from the wrong side. The stitches that I left in the middle are 6 and I've done 7 rows. So when I'm attaching, I'll begin from this first stitch that I did on the other side. So in that stitch and into the last row, the 7th row on the other side. Then I'll go into I'll align the stitches with the rows and then I'll just sew. At the end, I'll put a knot and then weave in that end that has remained. So this is what we have from the right side. Let me weave in this end. Then cut off the yarn. So now this is what we have, and we need to join this other part, but then this one comes to the top. So we are attaching it from the right side. Into the first row and the first stitch right here. Just connect the second row and the second stitch, then we have the third row with the third stitch, the fourth row with the 4th stitch, and so on. Like that. Then take the yarn to the wrong side of your work, do a knot on that side, and then now weave in the end. And cut off whatever remains. Then I'll weave in this other end. After that, turn your work to the right side, and now the front panel is done. We have this opening on the chest area. Now, while the front panel is on the right side, get your back panel. Then you're going to place the back panel on top of the front panel, such that this is the wrong side, the right side of the front panel. This is the right side, so the right sides should face each other. This should be the wrong side, and this should also be the wrong side, and we're going to join on the shoulder part right here. I'm going to do that using the single crochets. Get the first stitch on one panel and the first stitch on the other side. Reconnect the yarn there. Then chain 1. I'll get all these ends and I'm going to work over them. After chaining 1, we go back into that very first stitch and place a single crochet. Then into the second stitch on this side and the second stitch on the other side. We connect those 2 stitches with a single crochet. Then single crochet into the 3rd stitch, and we're going to connect until we get to this part. Make sure that you're aligning your stitches the right way. Do not skip any stitch or work more than 1 stitch in the same stitch. So just connect the corresponding stitches with a single crochet. The last stitch is on the chain 2 stitch on the other side, so make sure that you don't miss that stitch. Then chain 1 and cut off the yarn, and that one shoulder is joined. Now we're going to turn to the other side. So now we have that part joined. We need to move to the other side. So we start with the chain 2, that will be our first stitch, and the chain 2 on the other side. We connect the yarn there and then work till we get to this stitch. Let me do that, then come back. After joining the shoulder parts, this is what we have, and we are ready to work the collar part of the dress. Get the hook and the yarn, and we're going to connect the yarn at this point, and you need to make sure that you're doing this from the right side of your dress. So go into this very first row, which was the 7th row on this point. So we reconnect at that corner and then chain 1. After chaining 1, we're going to go back into that row with a single crochet. So yarn over and pull up a loop to get 2 loops on the hook, then pull through. We already know how to do the single crochet. I'm working over these ends. Then I'm going to work into the next row with a single crochet. The next row we'll get a single crochet, and all these single crochet rows, there were 7, so you should have a total of 7 single crochets on those rows. Those are the 7 single crochets, and that will get me to these stitches, and each of those stitches will get 1 single crochet. We are working all the way around the neckline. So wherever there are stitches, we're going to place just 1 single crochet. Wherever we are working on rows, the double crochet rows, we're going to place 2 single crochets. So I'm working the single crochets up to right here. Do not work on the stitch at the corner. Work until you get to this stitch before the corner. Once you get to the stitch before the corner, you're going to skip it and start working on the rows till you get to the next corner. So these are double crochet rows, and each of them will get 2 single crochets. I'm at the next corner, and at that corner we're going to skip the corner stitch, and then we're going to go to the stitches that are at the back part of the sweater, and then we'll work each of the stitch with 1 single crochet till we get to the corner. Do not work the stitch at the corner. Then we'll get to the rows right here with single crochets. Then we'll skip the stitch at the corner and work single crochets on the stitches, and then on the single crochet rows just 1 single crochet, and then till we get to this last row right here. So I'm skipping this corner stitch and working into the next stitch, just placing my single crochets in every stitch. That's my last stitch in the last row, so I'll chain 1 and turn in order to begin row 1, row 2, that is row 2. So we are at this point now. From here we're going to work back to this point with a half double crochet. To work a half double crochet, we yarn over, insert the hook in the first stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop to get 3 loops on the hook, then yarn over and pull through all the loops, then half double crochet into the next stitch, into the 3rd stitch, and 1 half double crochet into all the stitches all the way to the end of row 2. I'm at the end of row 2, And so we're going to chain 1 and turn to begin row 3. Row 3 is the same as row 2. We're just placing 1 half double crochet into each of the stitches, and I'm going to do a total of 6 more rows of half double crochets, so that in total I'll have 7 rows of half double crochets. Then I'll be back once I have the 7 rows. This is my second row of the half double crochet stitches. I've done a total of 7 rows of half double crochets, and I have my collar ready, so we'll be able to fold it like that. And we're done with that part. Next we're going to do the sleeves, but you can actually wear these without the sleeves. All you need to do is count 18 stitches from the top, then you're going to after you count the 18 stitches, that is on both sides, you're going to join from here all the way to the bottom. But then I want to have the sleeves, so I'm going to show you how to do the sleeves. If you're not doing the sleeves, you're counting 18 rows on either side, then join all the way down. You can leave some rows at the bottom to have an opening, like a slit on either side. So let me show you how to do the sleeve. To work the sleeve, we start with a slip knot and a chain of 32. After the 32 chains, we hold the last chain and chain 1 more. Insert the hook into that chain that we were holding and place a single crochet. Place a single crochet into the next chain, a single crochet into the third chain, and then 1 single crochet into every chain till we get to the end of row 1. Chain 2 and turn to begin row 2. Skip the first stitch and work a double crochet into the second stitch, because the chain 2 is the first double crochet in that first chain. Because the chain 2 is the double crochet in that first chain, then into the next chain place a double crochet and then place 1 double crochet to the end of the row. In the last stitch, I'll place the last double crochet, and row 2 is done. To begin row 3, we chain 4 and turn, and the chain 4 will act as a double crochet, which is the first 2 chains. Then the second 2 chains are the chains in between. Then yarn over, skip 2 stitches, work into the third with a double crochet, and this is what you're going to get. You have your double crochet, chain 2 and a double crochet. Then the next stitch gets a double crochet, chain 2, skip 2 stitches, work 2 double crochets in the next 2 stitches, chain 2, yarn over, skip 2 stitches, a double crochet and a double crochet into the next stitch, then repeat to the end. When you're coming to the end, you should have 3 stitches remaining. That is this stitch, this one, and the chain 2. So now you're going to chain 2 and skip these 2 stitches, then work on top of the chain 2, place your last double crochet, and we're done with row 3. Chain 2 and turn to begin row 4. That's the first double crochet in the first stitch. So we get straight into the chain 2 gap and place 2 double crochets into it. 1 double crochet on top of the previous double crochet and another double crochet next, then 2 double crochets into the chain 2 gap, 1 double crochet into the double crochet and another double crochet, 2 double crochets into the gap, then repeat to the end. At the end, in the chain, we're going to do 2 double crochets. Then the last stitch will be in the chain 2, so you count 1 from the bottom, 1 and 2 into that second chain. Place your last double crochet there. And that's row 4 done. Chain 2, chain 4 and turn. And we're going to work row 5 the same as row 3. So yarn over and skip 2 stitches. Do a double crochet into the next stitch and another double crochet, chain 2, skip 2, then 2 double crochets into the next 2 stitches, 1 into each, and then we repeat to the end. We're going to repeat row 3 and row 4 until we get a total of 20 rows, and we want to ensure that our last row is this row with gaps. So keep going, creating the gaps and alternating them with a solid row of double crochets, and I'll meet you once I have my 20 rows. This is after the 20 rows, and I've done both of the sleeves. Then we have this other one, and it's going to fold like this. It's a short sleeve. Then we're going to attach this to the main dress. So I'll show you how to attach one of the sleeves, then I'll let you go on and attach the other one. Get your dress and turn it to the wrong side. You need to get the shoulder part on one side, and then get your sleeve and place it on the wrong side. You need to count the rows and determine the middle row. So this is the middle part of my sleeve. So that part I pin it together with the middle part at the shoulders. And now you need to make sure that you align your rows. So just align your rows the right way. Make sure that they are well aligned and you do not miss any row. Then mark the last part where the connection ends on this side. So that's, let me see. So I should join up to this point. Then I'm going to align on the other side too. Then insert my hook right here and through to the row, the corresponding row on the other side. Then I'll start joining, and I'll join with single crochets all the way till I get to this point. Now get the yarn and pull it through and chain one. Go back into those two gaps that we are joining and place 2 single crochets in them. That's in the first row. Then we're going to get the second row on this side and the second row on the other side and join with 2 single crochets. Then get the third row and the third row on the other side, 2 single crochets. Then the fourth row and the fourth row on the other side, do 2 single crochets there. Then I'll just keep going. Now in the middle, just pull out the stitch marker and connect that single part, that middle part, with the hem where we connected the 2 shoulders right here. Connect with a single crochet right there. And now that gets us to the other side where we continue connecting the corresponding rows with 2 single crochets. At the end, we're going to place our 2 single crochets into the last 2 rows. Chain 1 and cut off the yarn. Pull through and fasten. And that first sleeve is joined. Now we need to join from the top to the bottom. So we're going to finish this side completely before I let you work on the other side. Now, we're going to start from the sleeve part, then we'll work all the way down. And at the bottom, I'm going to leave out some rows so that we have a small slit at the bottom. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. or you can do 5, depends with the length of the slit that you want. So now I'm going to join up to this point so that I leave that gap open. Then I turn my work to this side. I'll begin from the sleeve and I'll connect the corresponding stitches up to the armpit. Then once I get there, I'll connect the corresponding rows till I get to where I've marked. If you want to connect all the way down, you can do that. So beginning from this first stitch on this side and the chain 2 on the other row, insert your hook like that, get the yarn, and reconnect it with a slip stitch. Then chain 1, go back into that very first stitch and do a single crochet. Now the next stitch on this side corresponds the stitch on the chain 2 gap, so we're going to do a single crochet right there. Then the third stitch is also corresponding with the chain 2 gap. The next 2 stitches will be joined with this gap, so single crochet into the gap, the next stitch still in the gap. Then the stitch that follows will go with the double crochet, and the next one goes with the next double crochet. Then the next 2 stitches will be joined with the chain 2 gap, and then keep going. I'm in the last stitch of the sleeve, and so that will get me to the point of connection of the armpits. I'll just pull out the stitch marker, then work over this end, get into the row, and the corresponding row on that other side. So that's the row we joined when you were connecting the sleeve, and that in that place we're just going to work 1 single crochet. Then we get into this row and the row on the other side, join them together with 2 single crochets. The next rows, this one and the other one on the other side, 2 single crochets, and repeat with 2 single crochets into every row until you get to where the stitch marker is. So I'll go on, finish this, and then I'll work on the other sleeve, then come back. So you're just going to attach the other sleeve exactly the same way we've done with this one. after joining both of the sleeves, this is what we have. So this is one of the sleeves joined all the way, and then we have that slit. You can work all the way down, that's quite up to you. Then you're going to turn. I'll turn to this other side, and I've also attached the other sleeve and left the same size of a slit. Now all you need to do is weave in your ends, then turn your dress to the right side, and you're done. We are done with this dress. I'll weave in the ends off camera. So it's a free dress. This is the upper part of the dress, the collar. Then we have the sleeves, both of them, and the slits at the bottom. So thank you so much if you stuck around to the end of the tutorial. If you've enjoyed the tutorial, kindly leave a like, a comment. If you're not subscribed, kindly subscribe and join the family, and hit your notification bell so that you get notified every time I upload a tutorial. See you in the next one.